Nerdrotic.com.
Hey, did you know that if you don't like Ahsoka, you're a white supremacist?
Are they doing that again? It's so cliche. You can literally, sometimes I'll see something and I'm like, when will we see the article? And then it already exists, right? Like vilifying the fans as a way to deflect attention from the flaws of these shows.
Right. And it's so late in the game on this argument. Like, this is an argument that the fans have won. All right. So there are Star Wars fans and there's Disney Star Wars fans. Right. So you're talking about Star Wars fans. You're talking about OG, original trilogy, prequel, EU, Star Wars fans who have liked characters like Lando Calrissian and Princess Leia, you know, Mace Windu.
I know.
It was a stupid argument then, but there's way more awareness of it thanks to many videos made by many people, comments by all of you on Twitter just shooting this thing down because there was a lot of, like, frankly, especially in the entertainment media, and this goes way back, posers, tourists, outright frauds who didn't just flat out didn't know what they're talking about. This article, the only reason I bring it up is because they bring up rewriting Ripley again.
Oh, no.
It's the same argument, and it's drawn from that, which was an op, dude. It was just straight up an op, and I don't have proof, but there is tangential evidence that there were Lucasfilm people either supporting this. I'm not going to say they inspired it or told people to write it, but they were certainly supporting it, including one Pablo Hidalgo.
I remember people being pissed off that Lando wasn't in, the first two Star Wars sequels. Where's Lando? Like, Billy D. Williams is here. You're not using him. And then, of course, he gets a bit thing in Rise of Skywalker, which is arguably the worst Star Wars film ever made.
Yeah.
I mean, ever, of all of them. And I'm including episode 2, which, if you look back, is, yes, there are parts I know that are bad, but there are parts that are awesome.
Oh, dude, I'd watch Attack of the Clones 1,000 times.
Yeah.
More than a second of Disney Star Wars trilogy. At least you have, like, Yoda, fighting against Count Dooku and stuff. And like that, yeah, it looks like performative dance in front of a green screen, but a lot of it. But dude, it's still 1,000 times better than anything they've ever made. I got your back on that one, prequel fans. Okay, can we talk about just this website title for a second?
Yes.
Fuck this title. Fuck this title. Back in my day, when you said things like colored people, that was bad. That was considered bad. So we were trying to move past that because it is bad. In that reference, they're people. They're just people. They have names. Okay. Certainly, they have an identity, but I would guess that the vast majority of them are just Bob or Bill or Joe or whatever. So that this push, and then this people of color thing started coming out, which is just divisive title, and it's horrible, and it plays into it, and it's pandering. Star Wars is in flames right now. It's smoldering. It's not even. It's done. It's dead.
Yeah,
it's fucking dead. There's no way it will ever reach what Disney wanted it, and they wanted to reach the heights of George Lucas's Star Wars and never do that. Cultural phenomenon. Cultural disaster. Big difference. Big difference. So geeks of color. How about geeks of talent? That's what we need.
I just think that all this stuff, to me, these arguments that I've seen, it's just rebranded racism. That's what it is. I think that's exactly what it is. God, I remember, like, my grandparents used the term colored people, but that was because the era they grew up in, that was the respectful term.
That was the respectful term for it.
That was the respectful term, was colored people. Oh, that's, but they had neighbors and friends. They never referred to their friends as colored people. It was like you said, my friend Bill or my friend this. Like, no, they didn't distinguish that. It's so stupid.
That's the game of identity politics.
Yeah.
Identity politics. Geeks of color. Writer makes ridiculous claim that critics of Disney's terrible Star Wars movies and shows are white supremacists.
People.
Cabrera recently made the bizarre claim that critics of Walt Disney Company's atrocious Star Wars movies and television shows are white supremacists. Cabrera took to X, Twitter, to assert the claim. A lot of people forget that, but there is a direct correlation between the white supremacist crowd and the unbridled hatred of Star Wars sequels. Okay. He added, I saw in real time that they scouted out the Star Wars fandom and potential haven for spreading their message of hatred. Who's they? Who's they? Where's he getting this they from? What do you mean by they? It started with a straightforward racist approach of hating The Force Awakens because a black stormtrooper was one of the leads of the movie. Ryan has pointed this out. I've pointed this out. Everybody's pointed this out. The backlash over the black stormtrooper was ignorant morons who didn't know anything about Star Wars, right? And it was largely, they thought it was supposed to be a clone, and it wasn't. Frankly, I thought Finn, when I first saw that trailer, that was the most interesting thing about the trailer. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. What's this? Turned out to be nothing. He's a janitor, but
right.
You want to talk about racism?
I know. You talk about racism. The way that John Boyega's character was treated in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, that should be more a subject of ire than all of this. Because if you think about it, he was the most interesting character because we've seen the journey of a Jedi. We've never seen someone break conditioning, right? Imperial conditioning, to break from that, to not follow orders, and to say, I'm not going to slaughter a group of people on a planet. I don't know how he went from sanitation or being a janitor to, being now a stormtrooper in the First Order. But that was an interesting idea because we'd never seen it.
Like, he went on a pretty, according to Force Awakens, which was crap, but he went on a pretty important op with Kylo Ren.
Right.
Yeah. To kill Max von Sydow.
And then we never found out who Max von Sydow's character was.
Nope.
He was just handing over a flash drive.
Yeah.
It was so ridiculous. It's so
dumb. When
you look back at the Star Wars sequel trilogy, it's so dumb, so ill-planned, just so many bad ideas. And I don't know. God, it's to me the biggest, we've talked about it, but it's going to be looked back upon as the biggest missed opportunity in entertainment history.
Yeah, and wasn't the flash drive just part of the map to find the quitter Luke Skywalker, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The guy who ran away.
So ran away and got Max von Sydow killed and a bunch of other people because he ran away?
Because he was sad.
God, I hate that movie so much. When their target audience didn't fall in line with that blatantly racist take, they moved on to good old-fashioned misogyny. Okay. No receipts yet, but hang on. The hatred of Rey became a massive point for Star Wars channels as soon as The Force Awakens came out. He added nearly every corner of Star Wars YouTube featured the targeted campaign that against Rey because she was a Mary Sue. She was. This coordinated effort. So that implies that all of the YouTube channels, by the way, this is before me, coordinated effort created similar talking points with different variations in order to spread across online spaces. So are you insinuating that one person was like, hey, there's a YouTuber, let's give him a call?
Right.
Did we get paid? Were we just taking orders and we went, okay, Steve Bannon?
Real quick, did FNT exist in 2015?
No, not
No,
in no.
I remember people being sort of enthusiastic, not loving it, but enthusiastic.
There was tons of enthusiasm, goodwill. I didn't like it, questioned it, thought I might like it, went back and watched it again and hated it even more. So,
you and I are the same.
But I was like, everybody loves this. That's weird. An important thing to remember is that these takes came from the same people, the same ones who were screaming and crying because there was a black lead in the Star Wars movie. Okay, for one, that is just a fucking lie. It is a lie. It is an absolute lie. Comes from the same spaces that originates of the hate movement against Rey. That's who we're dealing with. After The Last Jedi, all hell broke loose. I wonder why. Could it be because, for one, The Force Awakens killed Han Solo. That's what people were pissed about. Even the people who liked the movie were like, they didn't need to kill Han. And when you go back and look at it, his death is terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
And people are pissed at The Last Jedi over the treatment of Luke. Yes, there's other shitty things. There's Admiral Holdo and the Holdo maneuver and fucking everything else in that movie, but it all pales in comparison to what they did to Luke. Okay, end of story. After The Last Jedi, all hell broke loose. The message became even more effective with the camouflage talking points that were made to seem more sensible and related while still harboring the same theme. The sugar-coated, the brazenness. I know how to say this, but I can't.
Brazenness.
Brazenness. Right? Yes, of their contempt to appear more reasonable. Oh, we're trying to soften our message to lure you in because you're just a gullible viewer who believes everything you hear on the internet. Which you're not. Okay. Now, these guys are some dumb motherfuckers, but okay. Interestingly, he claims that it's spreading as Disney pumps out more Star Wars television shows D+. The problem is the sentiment is still alive and growing within the Star Wars community. We saw it with the hatred against Riva, against Obi-Wan. Very interesting that they farmed. You can do this at any time. I can do this at any time. I can find a couple of comments and build an entire narrative around it. But I wouldn't because I don't care about the comments. But a marketing department would. A marketing department would to generate interest in a show they know isn't good. We are seeing that right now with Director X. Director X is running an op because he knows his show isn't good. So he's trying to turn it into a movement. Watch Robin Hood, you fight racism. But the truth is, I just need people to support my shitty show. It's called fan baiting. Too many female characters in Obi-Wan. Too many female characters that didn't need to be there. If you had female characters that needed to be there, sure. But you decided to focus on Obi-Wan's story, which should have been a story of Luke and Obi-Wan, and made it into a little bitty Princess Leia story and Riva. It should have been Luke, Obi-Wan hiding from Darth Vader and never meeting, by the way. Maybe getting close, but never meeting. We saw it with the hatred against Riva. Too many female characters. Take against Ahsoka. I mean, mostly all the female characters. I mean, nobody's wrong there. If you're talking about Ahsoka, no, you're not wrong there. And it goes on. It has become almost inconceivable from regular Star Wars fandom. He then appeared to realize he was blanketing every critic of Disney Star Wars and attempted to walk it back. Clearly, I'm not saying I dislike or disappointment in a recent Star Wars project automatically equates to the worst of the fandom. However, there is a distinct between bad faith positions of Star Wars fandom that has become effective in their message and branding, just speaking the truth. Really? Got some facts to back that up. He then concluded the truth is online grifters have grown exponentially in recent years, and it's important to remember how a lot of them choose Star Wars as the pop culture watering ground in order to cultivate further hateful themes and capture the attention of an overly eager fan base that doesn't exist anymore. Here's a fact of the matter. Like, not coming Star Wars again wouldn't hurt this channel at all. Okay.
Yeah.
If I just never fucking talked about it again because it's irrelevant at this point because of Disney. Oh, look, there's been a lot of people who have pointed out that the same issue, but I want to bring attention to this post by Rewriting Ripley that really gets into it.
Oh my God.
We've gone over it many times in the past. Rewriting Ripley managed to they were supposed to start a whole podcast or whatever. They got 3 articles in, whatever. Long story short, the ghost of Rush Limbaugh and Steve Bannon came to us at night and told us to use Star Wars to cultivate hate and division in this country when Disney used Star Wars to cultivate hate and division in this country. There you go. And where's Rewriting Ripley now? Nowhere to be found. Novelist John De La Rosa reacted to Cabrera's claims point by point in a recent YouTube video explained it was a rehash of A New Hope that was poorly done, without the emotion, without the caring, without the characters, with strong female lead who has nothing to do with anything, and some black guy. That's all it was. They literally just rebooted it with a woman and a black guy. He's right. He's right. It was low effort, and it absolutely succeeded, and that set the tone for Disney for the next decade. They thought, wow, we put nothing into this and just made $2 billion on this film. Well, shit, we can do that with everything. And, when did The Force Awakens come out?
2015, December.
Mm-hmm. Okay. When did Civil War come out? What was the release date? 2016. 2016. Yeah. So around 2015, Disney realized, oh, shit, we don't have to put a ton of effort in this. Lawrence Kasdan barely wrote he was on set, probably, editing Jar Jar's ADHD script that they were making up as they go. And they had the story group. And they're like, oh, shit, we don't have to pay big time writers. We could just pump it full of special effects, fix it in post, not put much effort into it, and just put girls everywhere. And it'll just make money. And they did that for 10 years. And now everything's shit. Well, good job. What Geeks of Color doesn't realize when they're specifically going after content creators is they're not specifically going after content creators. They're going after fans. They're calling fans of every make, shape, size, and aspect. They're calling you racist. So when Geeks of Color or other critics go out there and they go specifically after the fandom, and then they're like, man, nobody's watching my videos anymore. Wonder what I did. Well, you don't realize that you don't own your audience. You don't have an audience. There is the audience. We are all members of the audience. There's a lot of cross-pollination. There's a lot of people who will watch two completely opposite YouTubers, and they don't really appreciate that. I mean, it's really simple. But when you have, Hollywood writers, and when you have very young or very old, inexperienced, just went to school, didn't do much else, they don't realize that on a human level. They react emotionally. Completely. And shitting on the fans hasn't worked. It will never work. And it will continue to be your undoing the more you do it. That's why even Hollywood is going to start backing off on that, because they realized it was a really fucking bad strategy. And it's led to the complete destruction of multiple intellectual properties.
Disheartening. It's so disheartening.
Oh, and the loss of billions of dollars that they just walked away from, they left on the table. Billions of dollars of people who forget the YouTubers, forget the content creators. Think about the fans who just walked away and didn't say a word. That's the majority. They're just like, fuck you. Okay, bye. Whatever. Got better things to do. This article could have been written in 2018, 2019, 2020. It's no different, and they cited something that was written in 2020, and they think rewriting Ripley. By the way, when they wrote this article, again, somebody was associated with Star Wars. Pablo Hidalgo retweeted it, liked it, supported it. That's the same Lucasfilm that behind the scenes worked very hard at getting rid of Gina Carano. Very hard at getting rid of Gina Carano.
Nerdrotic.com. Please subscribe.
Hey, if you like what we do here at Nerdrotic Daily, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you could do that with your favorite YouTuber as well, I'm sure they would appreciate it as much as I do.